Newcastle United have entered 2026 4 points from fifth in Champions League place into the semi-final of the League Cup and a third round FA Cup draw, as well as on the periphery of qualifying for the Champions League. Now, with the Eagles coming to St. James's Park this Sunday, can they get it another 3 points in their first year of 2026? Find out right here on Toon Tactics TV, folks.
Brilliant from Cher. And now Murphy can take on the shot. Fabian Cher
All right, folks. How are you all doing? My mic is really I can really hear myself quite a bit on my mic. Here we go. That's a little bit better. How are you all doing in 2026, guys? Happy New Year to all of you. God bless you, Adrian, Evening Philip in the chat. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you, sir. I hope you guys have had a fantastic New Year's Eve, New Year's Day celebrations, and welcome 2026 on the bang. I hope and I pray, by the grace of God, all of you have big, massive visions for 2026, no matter what it is, no matter what the challenges are, that you will achieve all your dreams and your visions for 2026. And I hope the same for Newcastle United. I'm going to be talking on tonight's show. We are going to be doing a preview. No, first of all, we're going to be doing the preview for the Palace game this Sunday at St. James's Park. We're going to be doing a review of the Burnley game, but that's going to be together with a specific part of the show where I'm going to be talking about and intertwining with it and with the review of the Burnley game, how Newcastle play. And I think that's going to be the big thing about how Newcastle play, because I do hear a lot of see and watch a lot of comments online about how essentially Newcastle are just flat 4-3-3, 4-5-1 out of possession, and or 5-4-1 out of possession, and that's it. And Eddie's become too predictable, and that's not the end of how we play, and that's not even really the hallmark of how we play. And what's blessed me with that is a number of people, analysts that I value online, who have identified at least the style of play that we're trying to evolve into. And so I'm going to be talking about that on tonight's show. And as always, need your views and opinions. And also, hopefully, towards the end of the show, a big bonus one. We're going to a young man that's been linked to our club, a left back, and it's not Dayan, who's been injured and has had an operation. There's another young man in Turkey who has been linked to us. Let me know if you can guess who you think it is. And I'm really looking forward to doing a scouting report on him. He comes across as quite a positive transfer. But without further ado, I want to talk about and to look this in terms of Newcastle style of play, and in just reviewing the Burnley game and going into the Palace game. Good evening to you, Aaron. Good to see you. God bless you. Good evening all, and hope everyone had an amazing New Year's. Absolutely, you too, sir, and you too. Now, the as mentioned before, a lot of folks have been saying that we're playing the same way. And I wanted to kind of also explain that essentially we're a 4-3-3 team, and a 4-5-1, 5-4-1, flat across the lines and all of that stuff, which there are obviously truths to that. But that's not the only way that we play as well. And part of what we're doing, and part of the team that we're being evolved into. And credit to Sean Casey, and credit to John E, who are guys online. Next, some of you guys will be familiar too. They've also said that, and it's important to note that Newcastle are evolving in a 2-3-2-3 team. And I want to first essentially I want to first kind of explain how that works, because teams can play in a 4-3-3 or a 3-2-4-1 or 4-3-2-1, 4-2-3-1, excuse me, and evolve into a 2-3-2-3 team or 3-2-3-2 team, depends how you want to do it. But I first wanted to show something from the folks at The Athletic, where they explain how the 2-3-2-3 formation works. And let me just share it on the screen and get you guys' views. And I'm going to show you, and from this, I'm going to show you guys a couple of clips of how this showed itself in the Burnley game as well. So let me make sure I find it. Tactics. Where is it? I had it on. Where are you? So I wanted to talk about The Athletics. Wow, why can I not see it? It's really on. It's almost. Here we go. Found it. That was close. Now, this is from The Athletic. I can't remember what year it was. Make sure you guys can see it. Yeah, you can. And they basically talked about what's interesting. I'm sure. I know you guys will find this interesting as well. Some of you would have known this. Maybe I see Wobajok, God bless you. You probably would have known this as well. Happy New Year's to you, Phil, Adrian, and Aaron. Hope this year goes well for you guys as it started and last year ended for me. Thank you, sir. But they talk about the kind of the origins of the 2-3-2-3 formation. And they went way back, and obviously how it started. I can't go through all of it now, but essentially it's interesting how they see how the 2-3-2-3, you're going to see inverted fullbacks, but the originality of the fullbacks or halfbacks, as they used to be called, and was back in the day. Like left backs is a fairly modern, or having the term fullbacks is a fairly modern phenomena, and really all fullbacks were the ones that would, or halfbacks we'd call them before back in the day, were the ones that would defend against the opposition wings, but would also create on the other side, and they'll typically be covering the whole length of the pitch or covering the center of the pitch as well, hence the name of the halfbacks. And this obviously evolved when teams started playing 4-4-2 more commonly. Anyway, I went through all that to explain this, because I see a lot of fans, not just for Newcastle, but for Chelsea, because Chelsea really kind of rely on their fullbacks as well. They keep on talking, why does Gusto go into the number 10 role? Like, this isn't new. Like, this isn't a modern phenomena where you got left backs or right backs going up and going to the opposition as far as the opposition penalty boxes. And this is a fairly common thing. And it kind of also explains how Newcastle are trying to play now as well. And I wanted to kind of cover a few things about what it means for Newcastle, and then go into the Burnley game and show you how it kind of expressed itself. Because what's interesting as well, you can see from the front of the screen, they've taken a formation that starts as a 4-3-3, right? And I hope we all know, and I'm sure folks already know, that the 4-3-3 that we see on the Sky graphic screen isn't necessarily how teams play throughout the whole game. So they're going to explain here. In fact, it's probably not even how the team start in the first, like how it is for the first place. But what they're going to explain is how this 4-3-3 formation forms in a 2-3-2-3 in games itself. And then I'm going to go to the Burnley game and show a couple of screenshots and a couple of highlights as to how Newcastle employed the 2-3-2-3 formation, and kind of explain what that all means all around, and how Newcastle under Eddie Howe are trying to evolve their style. So buckle up and let's take it from here, folks.
Firstly, by invert.
Right, so make sure you guys can hear that. So let me just back up a little. So Guardiola, Bielsa, all these guys were massive proponents of the 2-3-2-3. Let me see what part I wanted to. Was it this part I want to start from? Maybe
shape. There is little natural width.
It's this one. Sorry, guys. Let me just forward it up a little bit.
Use of Arturo Vidal for Chile at the 2010 World Cup, where he pushed up and line. In a possession-based team, are fourfold. Firstly, by inverting the fullbacks and pushing them up and in to create a second.
So as soon as they invert the fullbacks, this is the first of the 2-3-2-3, right? So you can imagine on the left, Lewis Hall, on the right, Livramento. In this case, right now, it's Miley, obviously.
Line, which allows a team to resemble a 2-3-2-3 or the old 2-3-5, the central midfielders are covered and able to push higher, playing as 8-10s who can.
So by inverting the fullbacks, it allows the 2-8s to then push up on offensively to the other side of the pitch. So you can imagine it's probably Joe Linton and Bruno Gomes joining Wissa, Barnes, and Gordon on the other end, right? So then and whilst in the midfield area, they're covered now by the two fullbacks, which will be Hall, Tonali, and Miley, for instance.
Play in between the lines and precipitate attacking moves and provoke opposition uncertainty, but crucially, while being covered.
So the whole time, then you got like a 5v5 on the offensive end and a 5v5 on the defensive end, which allows the team to also be covered, as it says there, especially against transitions. I'm going to fast forward a little bit, and that's where the covering
center of the pitch, which means that should the ball be lost there, with two fullbacks and a defensive midfielder in place, the team can press effectively.
So that'll be Tonali, Joe Linton. Excuse me, that'll be so Joe Linton would come back as well. Tonali, Joe Linton, Hall in that sense. So if we get caught on the transition, you then got like a five-man.
This means the line doesn't only offer cover; it creates a numerical superiority
against the transition as well. And also in the midfield area, the main part is having numerical advantages in the midfield area. I'm going to fast forward it to that part. Hold on just one moment as well. And I'm going to show you guys in the Burnley
numerical superiority also helps in build-up, which is the third reason. Before the central midfielders push high, it's likely that the team will have
So you guys already know when we start from the build-up, we typically got the two centre-backs that split. So Chow and Shaw will go the other ways, and either it will be Bruno Gomes or Tonali in the middle with the two fullbacks, a Hall. In our case, at the moment, it's Miley separating as well.
Significantly more players in the middle areas of the pitch, the part that Guardiola always looks to dominate, and therefore many more passing options. And lastly, it can open up the wide areas. If the opposition...
You saw then in terms of the build-up there, always making sure that we've got numerical advantage, especially in the first phase of the pitch, the first phase of play, so that allows us to bring the ball out. That's why our build-up phases are quite high numerically.
Wide midfielders or wingers tuck inside and follow the fullbacks to mark them. They cannot double up to assist their own fullbacks. It can also allow the team to shift the ball quickly to the opposite side, where a channel is very open for attacking.
So that's why the likes of Gordon, that's why we bought Elanga, Barnes now, Murphy. That's why we've got some of the highest crossing metrics in the league, because we are able to force other teams to have to add extra players into the midfield, especially get into midfield, into mid blocks against us to crowd up the pitch. But it frees up space on the flanks. Then that's where we're able to get crosses in.
Like any system, there needs to be flexibility. Inverted fullbacks need to be able to assess the game conditions and adapt. Otherwise, the centre can be clogged up against teams who sit back in a low block.
And that's the part where it takes time. This is the part that it takes time. It can be complex to learn. It's worth learning because of the trade-off. But as he said, the midfield can get clogged up. Then low blocks start to form, and it gets really difficult to break them down. And which was part of the case against Man United, for instance.
And the lack of an overlapping runner can force the team's midfielders to run wide instead, leaving the centre too open higher up the pitch.
Which then that's what helps the other team as also to break on us and hit us on the transitions as well. So I'm going to show you guys in a moment how that I saw that in the game against Burnley, and I want to get you guys' view. Do you guys kind of as well, in terms of, do you kind of see the evolution of the team, or are you kind of still thinking, oh, it's just 4-3-3, it's just a 4-5-1, a 5-4-1 out of possession, or what else what else would you add to it, or whatnot? I'll be really, really curious to get you guys' views on it. And I'm going to show you guys on the screen where I saw this in the Burnley game. But just before that, Boba says, to my knowledge, Pep saw the use of the inverted fullbacks when he played or was a coach assistant in Mexico, First Division League. Right, is that where he got it from? That's deep. That's deep. All I ever heard is obviously Pep is a disciple of Cruyff. I never realized it was that deep, because then it started. Obviously, that's where Philip Lahm was used a lot. It talked about it in this. Like Philip Lahm really became under Pep became like his chief playmaker. So the 2-3-2-3, and I want to be able to show you guys how and where I saw it in the Burnley game, and now I'll get to review the Burnley game a little bit. So let me just make sure you guys can see this, and I've got the minutes on my screen, so I want to make sure I get to the right parts. And this is really from the start, like from the beginning of the game. I'm gonna show you the first goal, the second goal, and there was also a break that happened for Barnes. And looking back at this game, Barnes, but I don't know if you guys agree, but Barnes made at least 2-3 runs in this game where he was either ignored or, like he didn't get the ball. You guys remember the break towards this in the second half when the ball went to Gordon instead instead of Barnes. Barnes was fuming, but I think that I think Bruno had the ball. Like, but he would have been damned if he did, damned if he didn't. Whoever he passed it to be honest, for Bruno. All right, so let me show you the first goal. So let me show the first goal first and see how it's worked for us there. Make sure I got the sound off so I don't get into trouble. All right, so have I got it back enough? Hold on. Have I got it right? Okay, so make sure you guys can see that from the beginning. Yeah, you can. All right, so back to it. So you're going to see in a moment. You're going to see Hall here, obviously, and you see Malik Chow and Shah. They're going to be the two. And you're going to see Hall move into the next phase next to Tonali. And obviously, Miley is already there. He's already inverted, and he's already right next to Tonali in terms of where he's supposed to be inverted in as well. And you're going to see Hall about to do that as well in a moment. Then you're about to see also a really clever move from Gordon. Gordon drops in. Now remember, Gordon's going to be one of the top three, the guys at the top, but you're going to see him drop in. Kyle Walker follows him in, and then Gordon spins off and makes a run into the space left by Kyle Walker. And you're going to see Hall then invert right next towards Tonali and Miley, creating that 2-3-2-3 formation in the moment. So just look out for that. I think I'm going to slow it down so I don't get into trouble as well. So you're going to see that in a moment. So let me make sure I slow this down first. Playback speed. All right, so I've slowed it down a little bit and see how it goes. All right, so Hall picks up the ball. Miley, look where Miley is, by the way. He's right next to Tonali. And that's, you're going to see you're going to see the forming of the 2-3-2-3. Gordon picks it up. He gives it back. Then you're going to see the spin-off. He's made the spin-off. He's going to run into that space. Carl Walker isn't quick enough to follow him in. And look where Hall is. He's about to he's then inverting in with Tonali, and you can see where Miley is. So you can already see the two. It's Malik Chow and Fabian Schär. This is from the beginning of the game almost. The 2, the 3 here, and you've got the 2. And what happens when these two invert? When Miley and Hall invert, look where Joe Linton is. Joe Linton goes high up. Bruno goes high up either side of Mr. Wissa, which allows the two forwards or outside forwards in Gordon and Barn to spread out, as you saw in the earlier graphic. So with the two fullbacks inverting in, it allows the 2-8s, Joe Linton and Bruno, to go up, right next to Wissa, with now Barnes and Gordon on either side here. So that's the 2-3-2-3 right from the beginning of the game. And it worked very, very well because Gordon made a really, really smart run by dropping into the space, forcing Kyle Walker. Kyle Walker followed him, and then Gordon spun off and into the empty space here. And what happens here? Then straight away, you got 5-on-5. Gordon, Joe Linton, Wissa, Bruno Gomes, and Barnes. 5-on-5, and 5 at the back here. Miley, Tonali, or three in midfield. Miley, Tonali, and Hall, with the 2 at the back in Chow and Shaw. That was from minute 1. And obviously, this is the part that this is why they do it, to get these one-on-one situations, which worked straight away. And right from the bat, you now got nearly 4 Newcastle midfield players running to the middle part of the box. You want this pit, you want a Gordon in a one-on-one situation with Kyle Walker, spins off, chops it back, and then also Hall also provides what did they talk about? The overlap. The overlap, the threat, at least the threat of the overlap. Now there's almost a 2-on-1 on Kyle Walker. Gordon again, lovely cross in, fantastic finish by who? The 2 advanced 8s, Joe Linton. And it's interesting that both are advanced 8s, or both are 8s in Joe Linton and Bruno, both scored in this game, as well as our striker Wissa. So really, it was a perfect execution of the plan, especially in the first minute. We know what happened in the game. Obviously, Burnley scored and made it 2-1. It was edgy. But I'm just in this part, I'm trying to focus on how Newcastle play and how we've evolved our play. So every time you hear, oh, we're so predictable, we're so 4-3-3 and 4-5-1 flat and 5-4-1 flat, we're not. We're not that. We are trying to evolve. So you saw that first part. That was the first goal. I'm gonna forward it to 217 for the Wissa goal, because you saw something not too dissimilar as well. It happened a little bit differently because it came from a direct goal kick, but the principles of it were fairly the same. But before I speak on it, let me see if you guys got anything in the chat. God bless you guys. If you guys are enjoying the show, do remember to like, share, and subscribe as you always do. Let's get this 2026 into a great start. Adrian says Trips was inverting at the start of the season, and Tino. I missed that. Trips was inverting at the start of the season and Tino too when he was playing at left back. Yes, but it's not been perfect for us because remember, even at the beginning of the season, we didn't have both our fullbacks. Then, as you said, Hall was injured. Tino had to go left back when he's right back, and all these other things. Iniesta, good to see you. God bless you. Really good to have you as always. Iniesta says that's why Shaw is key to our attack. Our players can attack spaces early when he's in the team compared to if Burn is that position. Yeah, I would only say that I want someone more athletic than Shaw in that area as well. Hence, I'm waiting for Botman to come back. Iniesta says some lovely triangle one-touch moves on the left with Hall, Joe Linton, Gordon. Yes, absolutely. So going back to what I was saying about that 2-3-2, this time you're going to see a different approach. We're going to go a lot more direct. It's going to be a lot more direct. Obviously, it comes from a Pope goal kick, right? So already, just to say, already, just from the kick, what do you see here? Starting from the back, Chow and Fabian Shaw, the 2. Then you already see Miley and Tonali here, the 3. Lewis Hall is a little bit more advanced, but you can see the 3 here. Hall, Tonali, and Miley. Then you've got the 2 8s, Joe Linton and Bruno. This time, a little bit more narrower, making sure that we compact that midfield. So we're already outnumbering them in the second phase of play. It's already like 4 on 3 already, right? And it's a direct kick. You're not going to get it perfect, but that's the idea. 2 at the back with the 3 across, with the 2 fullbacks inverting. Miley isn't here next to Chow. Hall isn't here next to Shaw. They're right next to the 2 8s here who are about to go further up. And the ball goes direct. Wissa you're going to see Wissa win the first contact and lay it off to, I can't remember if it was to Barnes, who's right next to him. Yeah, so it goes to Barnes, and look where Gordon is. This time Gordon inverts because there's a space now left by Wissa, which Gordon's about to get into. And Gordon plays a really pivotal role in the second area. You're going to see then Joe Linton and Bruno spring up into those into the space as well with Hall and Miley. Look where Hall and Miley is at this stage. Hall and Miley right across here, right next to Tonali. That's where Hall and Miley are, with Joe Linton and Bruno about to advance into that space. 5-on-5. Joe Linton and Bruno about to go in. Yep, they're about to go in. Well won by Barnes as well. First contact. Gordon goes into the space. Bruno continues to run. Another space is created there by Barnes inverting in. And Wissa on the right-hand side where Barnes is supposed to be. They're about to get into that space. Problems from Barnes. They do well to win it back here. But the idea, the principle is already there. We're going to win it back in a moment, obviously. But the idea and the principle is already here in terms of having those guys in advanced positions. Now, they're waiting for the transition. Hall is already in advanced area here. Miley's here. It'll be Miley here. So Tonali and Joe Linton are already. They're all on the pitch here. So we've got 3 at the back at the moment. Then we've won it back with Wissa, and now you've already got 3, 5, 6 Newcastle players in the opposition end. But the idea and the principle of 5 at the back, 5 at the front is already clear to see. Obviously, Hall has gone way high up. And you saw his position. He was about to go back. He was just about to go back where he's supposed to be, right next to Tonali, because Tonali's flooded in. But you can see the idea. Hall, Tonali, Miley. And then, but then are supposed to be are not too far from each other. But now you see Joe Linton, Bruno right there next to Wissa, next to Barnes, next to Gordon, who's inverted. They're all together in that compact area, right together, flooding through the middle of the area, and ready even for the transition. So even when Burnley win the ball back, it seems to bounce to a Newcastle defender player each and every time. Gordon this time picks up, great first touch. He sees Barnes on the side here. Hall continues his run into the space because it allows him to do that now because we're outnumbering. We're forcing the Burnley players back. How many Burnley players here? 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 Burnley players at the back now. So more and more Newcastle players can go into their half. Again, he drives forward, holds off the defender, allows for space for Barnes, which happens. Barnes has got all the space there, turns it around with his right foot, checks it. It's the Gordon. Remember, Gordon's been on the left wing here. He's right here. Tonali's around here. Miley's pushed up now, like he's supposed to, as part of that kind of the principle of having your fullbacks pushing in. And look who we've got at the front, Mr. Lewis Hall. Lewis Hall on that left side, Wissa in the middle, and I think it's Bruno Gomes, the advanced 8, with Joe Linton about to join them. This is the whole idea and the whole principle. Decent first touch from Gordon onto... Oh, no, I didn't. It got blocked there. But Joe Linton does well to win it back. There's so many players. Every time Burnley try to win back, there's so many Newcastle players around them. They can't get it. And obviously, this is now forced the whole situation where you've got... At the time of this goal, you've got how many Newcastle players? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Newcastle. 6 Newcastle players inside of Burnley's half penalty box. But the whole idea of that 2-3-2-3 formation, the principles around it, 5 in attack, 5 in defense, fullbacks running up and down, at times even inverting, but trying to create the space. Where is the space being created each and every time, and then flooding it where they can. And that's forced Burnley then to kind of also bring men back. You've got less men to attack on the other end. And essentially, obviously that's what led to the goal, because Burnley were just really awful at defending. I'm going to show one more clip again. This time it wasn't the goal, but it was a break. And that kind of emphasized that. But let me just get to the minute, and I'll read the chat as well. It happened at 5:15 to kind of emphasize. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Is this making sense? Did you kind of already kind of see this as well? Let me know. I am really keen to get you guys' thoughts. All right, so this is coming up in a moment. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat before I continue. Good to see you guys talking amongst yourselves as always. Giniesta says the main benefit with inverting both fullbacks is that it will be harder to transition. Exactly. The transition against us as with counter press and block will be more compact. Exactly. That's exactly it. I don't know if you caught the first part of the show. Giniesta was talking about how the tactics have been evolving, are evolving. I say in the process of evolving because we're still trying to get it in. And we're employing a 2-3-2-3 method. It's not what people keep on saying that we're just so predictable. We're 4-3-3. Newcastle, we're 4-5-1, 5-4-1 out of possession, flat back four. Yes, that happens, but that is not the core. That is not the team that we're evolving into. It's this team that we're talking about. Yeah, you missed the first few minutes. Yeah, so that's why I was explaining, Jim, yesterday. I think that's what a lot of folks, including myself at some points, and again, credit to Sean Casey, credit to John E. and others for pointing out how Newcastle are trying to evolve. We didn't see this at the beginning because we know that Livramento and Hall were both injured. Then they came back. Then one of them was injured, Livramento, but the kind of the principles of everything we're doing is there. I actually even see it more now that Miley is playing at right back. So we're seeing it here. So I kind of wanted to see that. Janessa says, love to see what Gordon did there. He's proactive in creating a triangle shape to allow us to play connect combinations. Wish we got to see that from our right wingers. Aaron says, Hall is sensational in them triangles, so good in tight spaces and just works the space so well. Definitely our best player after he's back from injury. 100%. So again, I want to show one more clip, an example of that 2-3-2-3 formation. You saw it from the build-up play earlier. Then you saw a direct ball from Pope. You saw how it worked there. I forgot what I saw in this one, but this is you're going to see a break from. I'm on the wrong screen. You're going to see a break from Barnes in a moment, but the idea of it. All right, so this time it's an opposition goal kick into our area. This time, Shah's about to win this half as well, but obviously you see our players back here. The two, Miley next to Chow, next to Hall here, where we're at. You're going to see Barnes in a moment as well. So we're about to win the ball back, and you're about to see the same key principles happen for Newcastle. A bit of a back and forth here. Hall just nicks it off. I think it's Ogochukwu. I can't remember who it is. But speaking about that transition, and I think someone was speaking about it, not to get caught in that transition, with making sure that we've got an athletic centre-back in I think it's Chow here, who's there to collect the ball where we are, because Boyd had a good game as well. This time it's Hall, it's Hall that stopped it. Fantastic, as you guys were saying. But you're about to see the principles here. The fullbacks picked it up. You're going to see Chow and Shah remain at the back here. Miley, well, Hall's already gone up, but you're going to see Miley about to speed up, and all the others about to head off as well. Even quicker. Actually, the speed of the play was even quicker than I anticipated. Oh, my battery's about to. That was close. I forgot to charge my laptop. Oh, it rewinded. Right. So Hall wins it back. Quick on the transition. We've got now Tonali, and the whole idea also is to rotate and to have flexibility, right? So it doesn't always have to be the same player. In this case, who's the most advanced? Tonali, Bruno Gomes. You're going to see Barnes on his way. Whistle's already up there, right? They've already skirted off. Barnes is on his way, about to hit that space in the back that you can see in the back here as well. Brilliant ball from Bruno, hitting the space in the back, getting in behind the players. We didn't see that enough in this in other games as well, but this is brilliant from Barnes. Actually, he really, I thought he really deserved the goal in this game, and obviously Dubravka hit it, got there as well. But the ideas and the principles are all there for folks to see. So for me, it's a case of Newcastle trying to ensure that we're trying to evolve our style of play, and injuries and not having personnel, people haven't always seen it as well. So and it's been a lot more difficult, and with obviously the increased amount of games, reduced amount of time that we have in terms of Champions Leagues, which we're not complaining about, has made it even more difficult to be able to do that. But I wanted to kind of talk about that. And obviously, we talked about the Burnley game and 3-1. We're going to go through the stats, but I wanted to kind of conclude it on that we're not just people saying we're the same team, 4-3-3. People know what we're going to do. Eddie Howe's he's reached his ceiling when he's literally trying to break. He's literally evolving the team. He's literally evolving the team. The first goal showed that. The second goal showed that. All the principles of what we're trying to do, trying to achieve, have shown that. And it's the reason why we're looking for a left back as well in this transfer window. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. You guys have been doing really well as always in the chats as well. Liking, sharing, subscribing. Let me get before my coffee goes cold. Oof. Janiesa says, I don't think we necessarily got the players for a 2-3-2-3 system. But it's nice to see something different in build-up rather than that predictable 3-2-5 with LB becoming a makeshift third centre-back. I think we're short of an athletic sense. So for the first one, for the personnel, I think we're short of a centre-back. Even though Shaw's doing a tremendous job, but if we got two Malik Chows at the back, we look a lot more. I think we look a lot more complete in that area, and I think Hall and Livramento do a good job in terms of inverting as well. But it might be a reason why we're looking at the likes of Magnus Ekliush and others. But the whole principle and the idea of evolving our play is definitely there to see for sure. I don't know how predictable our 3-2-5 formation is. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I think, like you mentioned, obviously having the right personnel in different areas, but I liked how it come across in this game. I think the best I saw of it was against, I think it was Forest actually. I can't remember if it was Forest or Fulham in the Premier League games as well, but for sure, Ginesta, like some really, really good insight there. Wesley, God bless you. Don't Magpies fight also. You're talking about the thumbnail. Let me show you. Our team is dead on its feet. I am dreading a trip to yours. Are you a Palace fan? God bless you, sir. Yeah, I saw your game today. You're right in terms of you remind me of when we got into our first Champions League. Obviously not this current one, but the previous one. I think you're one of the least rotated teams in the league. Let me know, Wesley. I think you are. By the way, we're one of the most rotated teams in the league. Us, Chelsea, and somebody else are the most rotated teams in the league as well. Again, people saying people know what team we're going to play. They don't. Even we don't know what team we're going to play. And like you said, Wesley, I think in the last 15, 20 minutes, even though you're winning 1-0, Fulham just looked like, yeah, you're tired. You haven't got any more to give. So, yeah, we're looking forward to it, man. I won't lie to you. We're looking forward to it, Wesley. But God bless you and big up to you for joining the show as well. But yes, Magpies do fly as well, but it's a no-fly zone for Eagles at the moment. The Magpies will be everywhere. The Magpies will be everywhere at St. James's. Aaron says, I think a 2-3-1-4 formation would be best with Voltemada dropping deepest, having the 4 runners in front of him to pick out. It's an idea there. And with that, again, that's the magic of the 2-3-2-3, that it's not, what do you call it? It's not fixed, it's not frozen, it's not cemented like it's cemented, it's supposed to allow that flexibility. I'll get to Bobby in a moment. Wesley says, I love Newcastle and the fans, to be honest. Was happy to see you lads win the League Cup last year. And big up to you, man, for winning the FA Cup as well. Big up to you guys. Big up to you. That appreciate that, Wesley. Much appreciated. Bobby, Happy New Year, Philip. Happy New Year to you, sir, and God bless you. And Toon fans, wishing you all the health and all the right. Yeah, Chelsea, jeez Louise, bruv, you guys know how to start for year. 2026 kicks off with a sacking. Yeah, how do you, I see you online, Bobby, with some mixed emotions there, I think, because on the one hand, Maresca's getting sacked. On the other hand, I don't know. I don't know. So I'm not going to say too early about the caliber of manager because we don't know who's going to come in, and I need to do my research on the likes of Liam Rosenwald and others. So, but yeah, I'd love to get your perspective on it. All right, so just to finish up on the Burnley game, I want to just get through the stats as well before we start going to the Crystal Palace thing and do a tactical breakdown. And I actually broke down how that 2-3-2-3 could work in the Palace game as well. So lots to talk about there. So let me just do quickly through the stats. I do have the stats, don't I? Well, sort of. Let me see. Can you guys see? No, you can't see that because I didn't bring on the stage. Here we go. All right, so let me find Newcastle. Premier League. So, by the way, first and foremost, we are currently 13th. Okay, so where was the Burnley game? We've got Palace here, Liverpool, Burnley. That was a 2-1 game. Here's a 3-1 game. Lots of draws today as well, guys. And I think that's what happens when the league gets a little bit tight. We've all played each other, so we know each other's strengths and weaknesses now. And teams are, Sunderland drew with Man City after only playing them, a week ago, 2 weeks ago. So it's getting a lot more tighter in the league. But let's have a quick look at the stats. Make sure you guys can see that. Yeah, you can. How comes you can't see the stats? Share this tab instead. That was close. I was going to start talking and you guys can't see anything. All right, so general stats. We're in the purple bar, aren't we? We are in the purple bar. Most important stats, as I always say, the metrics is the scoreline. Newcastle scored 3 and Burnley scored 1. We had slightly more of the possession, 51% to their 48. Interesting. Possession lost in the defensive half. We lost 37 to their 32. It became an ugly game. It became a bit of an ugly game. Possession lost in the middle third. Us 73, Burnley 72. It was a proper clash. Proper clash. Dual success rate, we had 50% to their 45. We really fought hard in this one. Aerial duels was pretty close. Success rate as well, 51 to there's 48. Successful dribbles, 6 to their 5. Good to see again our dribbling numbers maintaining themselves. Like I said to you before, I'm quite unused to this because they're generally they tend to be quite low. Long passes, 47 to us, 52 to them. Long passes proportion to everything else, 10% of those or that's 11% to theirs. And let me see what else was a bit more. Passes in the opposition half. They had 264 and we had 212. So we were a bit under the cosh for a period of time, especially in that second half. Passing accuracy in the position half. Us 74%, there's 71%. So decent away performance. Total passes in the final third. Burnley had 118, we had 91. Burnley, man, they blew, but they couldn't blow the house down. Passing accuracy in the final third, we're almost dead even. Like we got 71.4%, they got 71.2%, which is crazy. We had to clear a chance off the line. They had to do it as well, but we had to do it first. It was crazy. Like those are the type of things. I think it was Shaw that cleared it off the line as well. And those type of situations, those are what win you points. Those are what win you points. Good to see our crossing accuracy go up to 21% to the 8%. I think that's what was a big difference for us as well. We had 19 crosses in this game. and at least 21% of them were accurate. So that was really, really good to see. Was there anything I wanted to talk about? Shots on target. We had 20 shots. We had 20 shots. We had 9 shots that were on target, so nearly 50%. We had 6 shots that were blocked. Shots inside the box, we had 7. They had 7. It was a tough away game. Oh, sorry, that was shots outside the box. Shots inside the box, we had 13. We had 13 shots. They had 8 shots inside the box. So shot accuracy, excluding block shots, 64%, better to what we did last game. To their 33%. Shooting accuracy, 45%, much better. 26% accuracy to them. They had 15 key passes. We had 10 key passes. It was a tough game. Really, really tough game. But in the key metrics, particularly in the shot accuracy, shot quality, well, we shaded it, I think. Right, so quick look on the passing map, as we always like to do. This is Burnley's, actually. Burnley's passing map was pretty good. Hold on, that's the pass. Can you guys see this? Yeah, you can. Good. Pass map. Make sure you guys can see this. Yeah, you can see it. So I'm a bit, what do you call it? So this is Burnley's. Burnley's weren't too bad, actually. They were doing you can see the average positions. They spent a lot of time in our half as well. Ogochukwu, I think, was really important to them, connecting their midfield. I think they kind of had a 4-4-2 that went into a 4-3-3, I think, with Edwards being a real menace at the beginning as well, connecting up with them as well. You can see some of their main passing players were Florentino with Edwards, and especially with Ogochukwu. Ogochukwu then will connect himself with Walker, as well as with Edwards and the others, and with Florentino and Tachuna as well. So a lot came through Ogochukwu as well. And they were working through those areas, which was really, really massive working for them as well. Ourselves, I don't know, there's not one pass to Johan Wissa. That's interesting. He did score, thankfully. I don't know how accurate that is, but boy, I can't. You could say, did we see him after this game? I don't know, but the principles of what we saw, Malik Chow, obviously the part of the two, Malik Chow and Shah, lots of passes between them, 27 passes throughout the 90 minutes, big pattern of play there. And if we start on the left-hand side of Hall, who then will join with Tonali and with Miley, you can see Hall, 14 passes between him and Tonali, 13 passes between him and Joe Linton, 22 passes between Hall and Gordon. 14 of them were Hall to Gordon, right? So Gordon was really, really involved in this game. Gordon was Shah to Gordon as well. Joe Linton to Gordon, Tonali to Gordon, Bruno Gomes to Gordon. Gordon was as part of our front three, was highly, highly involved in that game. Tonali, again, himself in the middle of everything. I think he's recovering from sickness as well. But you see him in the center of things, connecting with the rest. Towards the right, you see Miley connecting up with Barnes, 10 passes between the two of them. 8 of those were from Miley to Barnes. Miley, especially with Bruno Gomes, 15 passes throughout the game between them. Tonali and Miley, 17 passes between the two of them throughout the game. Him and Chow, 15 passes between the two. And you can see some strong patterns of play between them, with Barnes and Gordon highly involved. Wissa a little bit less so. We did wonder at the beginning, the preview of this game is how would Wissa do in low block situations. We didn't see too much of a low block from Burnley because they were trying to hit us as well. But I'm not too upset with this because Wissa he's almost similar to Haaland in the sense of he's not looking to be overly involved in the play. The main thing is that he's got his goal. And the other two, Barnes and Gordon, were highly, highly involved in this game. And like I said, Wissa got his goal as well. So again, ugly win, but I don't think we're as poor as what people are making it out to be, in my opinion. I predicted 3-0 for the game. We won 3-1. So let me know what you guys' thoughts were on the game. And as we move on to preview, excuse me, the Palace game. Let me make sure I got my timetable for the game as well. So right, so let's have a quick look, just an overall view of Palace and how their season is going before we go into the tactical breakdown. I'm going to read you guys' chats in a moment as well. Share this tab instead. And obviously, they had a game today, which is really, I was doing some scouting, watching them play. Do I have my? There was actually, I have my. I'm going to look at their table results, and then we're going to talk about how they've been doing in the league. Read their metrics of Opta Analyst as well. So let me bring this up with you guys. All right. So what are you guys saying in the chat? Did I do anything in the chat? Bobby says, I would take Eddie Howe, my bro. I also think the Magpies could use an upgrade. And that's if you want to go to the next level. Don't tell Philip I said I think hurt people, Bobby. Where is it? Anybody else here? Wesley, here we go. Big up Wesley. Do add your views on. I'm gonna just go to a quick. Well, I'm gonna do an overview of like your form at the moment, but I'm gonna go into a little bit more technical stuff about Palace. So if you are around, do stick around. Let me know how this kind of fits of your, like, what you've seen of Palace. But Wesley says, I'm not sure if you do opposition preview, brother. If so, maybe reach out to D at Back of the Net for Palace. Yeah, I would love to. I don't know if you know him, Wesley. Feel free to make the introductions. I would absolutely do that. Absolutely do that. I've seen him quite a few times on Never a Foul. I think I've watched his show a couple of times as well. I think it's super likable, and he loves Palace for sure. So yeah, absolutely, Wesley. I don't directly know him though. So if you do make those introductions, I'll be more than happy to do that. So Palace obviously today drew 1-1 with Fulham after going a goal up. I'm gonna look at the form of Palace so far in this season and kind of give a breakdown of your style of play and everything else. And if you're around, Wesley, I'd love to hear your view on how Palace are doing at the moment. So Palace are currently 10th in the league with 27 points after today's draw, with a +1 goal difference, 7 wins, 6 draws, 6 losses, 22 goals scored, 21 conceded. They're currently on the last run of form. They are the last 5 games. They've lost 3 games. They've drawn 1 and they've lost 1. Until today, they were on a 3-game losing streak before the draw against Fulham. And you can see now here. Can you guys see this? Let me make sure you guys can see this. Yeah. So, and in the past, 9 games? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Is it 10 games? 3. Yeah, 10 games. The last 10 games, Palace have won 3 games. One of them against Burnley. One of them was against Fulham as well. And one of them was against Shelbourne. I think that must be in the Europa Conference, right? And so you won 3 games in the last 10, and you've lost 5 games in the last 10 as well as drawn 2. One of them, though, was against a team called Coops in the Conference League. In the Premier League, it's a little bit. I think it's I don't know how many wins you got in the Premier League. Was the Burnley game? It must be the Burnley game and the Fulham game previously that you guys have got a win in. But you lost to Man United 2-1. City, you lost 3-0. Leeds, you lost 4-1 to Leeds. lost. It says one. It says 1-1 with us. I don't know. I don't know why that's a red. So you've only lost 4 games. Sorry, and you have you lost to Tottenham as well, 1-0. I think I watched some of that game as well. That was a hard game to watch. So Palace's form with the, you probably surmise that obviously with the lack of rotation in your squad, the lack of depth in your squad, it's really, really mixed. And especially in the since the Man City game, you could argue, you've had a really, really you haven't won in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games, all in all. And from watching your game today, especially last 15, maybe 20 minutes, you got really, really, really tired. The team got really, really tired. Looked like they were very much on the back foot. So let me bring up, as always, guys, are going up to analyst, get the metrics for Palace and for Newcastle, and see how they match up against each other. But before we get there, and so we get a bit about Palace's style of play, what they're good at, what they're not so good at. Same for Newcastle. And get you guys' perspective on it before we do the tactical breakdown. Before we do that, let's see what folks in the chat. Wesley says, so I already read that one. Wesley says, I will stick around, fella, and put a word into D. Big up to you, Wesley. Big up to you, Wesley. Really, really appreciate you doing that. I love it when opposition fans come on the show, man. Virginia says, Palace got such a thin squad. You got Brennan Johnson today, so it's got a little bit bigger. I think it's come to St. James's. I'm not surprised with the lack of good results last week's. Yeah, it is difficult. We've been there as well. Wesley says, we weren't 19 unbeaten before that run. That's crazy. Yeah. Europe with our small squad is killing us with injuries. Wesley, why didn't I don't know that I haven't looked at your transfer record, but I hear snapshots from the news that there wasn't much investment. Number one, is that true? I'm guessing it is because you've got a thin squad. And number two, what's the reason for that? I assume FA Cup and Europe gives you more money. Like, what happened? And they lost on penalties to Arsenal on the 23rd. They did. That was a great game. I watched that game. I watched a lot of Palace in the last week, actually. You guys are reminding me. That sapped a lot of energy as well. Wesley says, on only side that outplayed us was Leeds. Okay, because we are tired. We boss Man City. Okay, and Spurs as well. Results don't always tell the story. That's true. That is very, very true. We'll talk about that a lot on the show. So let's see what that means for when we compare each other's metrics. Wesley says, for sure, we never get enough in with Europe to come. That is on the board. Okay, so there is the board that messed things up, essentially. So I went on up to analysts, as you guys always know, for all of our preview shows, got onto the old, put all the metrics together, put it on the old AI, and got a feel for how Palace play, how they match up with us. And we're very, very blessed and privileged to have a Palace fan on here, Wesley, so he can add a little bit more context like he just did just now. So the results of what Palace have got recently don't necessarily reflect how they've played, which is true. And you pushed Arsenal right to the wire. Not many teams do that. Aston Villa couldn't do that, for instance, and they got a bigger squad. Oh, so that was the clip I was going to show. All right, so metrics. So based on the data across the 6 images, that's the stuff that I sent to AI. So for Newcastle, our offensive efficiency, some of you guys already know this. So we've scored 26 goals with an XG of 27.8. So we're underperforming by 1 goal at least. But if you look at, for instance, other metrics like FOTMOB, and I'll look at FOTMOB in a moment, we deserve a little bit more goals, but fine. 20, so we're underperforming our metrics a little bit, but not by much. But essentially what it's saying is that our offense, with the amount of chances we're creating, is working with the amount of goals that we're scoring, which is good. Palace, on the other hand, they've scored 21 goals from an XG of 29.55, and it probably goes to what Wesley was saying earlier, that the results don't necessarily reflect how the game's panned out, because if you score 20 from when you've scored 21 goals, but your XG is 29.55, let's just round it to 30. They should have scored about 30 goals, 29 to 30 goals. So there's a significant underperformance by at least 8.55 in Palace's offensive metrics. And if Wesley's around, I'll be keen to know, like, are you guys, from what it's showing me, you guys are like missing, is it like clear-cut chances essentially, or is it like a lot of low quality chances but high volume of them? I'll be really keen to know, like, what is the reason that you're missing so many chances? Defensive solidity. So Newcastle conceded 24 goals this season, but with over XGA of 21.55. So we've been also underperforming defensively. So teams have got lucky against us by nearly 3 goals. You can say we've should have conceded, if you're looking at XG, 21 goals, where we've conceded 3 goals. And from the last show, you guys would have seen that our conceded XG is second to Arsenal this season. Arsenal's like a 15. They're phenomenal, right? They're more than a head and shoulders above everybody else. But we're second only to Arsenal in terms of conceded XG, and teams have been getting lucky against us. And I'm not going to say Burnley were lucky because they still create enough XG. But the way that ball bounced in the penalty box, and just from one player to the next over Howe's head, and that Burnley striker hit, a really good strike. It's stuff like that, honestly. But Crystal Palace have conceded 20 goals, so even less goals than us, by 4, from an XG of 22. So they're overperforming that offensively. So teams they've been a little bit fortunate. So although they've conceded 22 goals, although they've conceded 20 goals, they should have conceded about 22. So both teams really, in my point of view, both have fairly good defensive structures, right? Whether it's actual goals conceded or even from the XGA point of view. So both teams have got good offensive structures. Chance quality, so our average is about 0.11 per shot, which isn't good. It needs to improve compared to Palace's, who are 0.14 XG per shot. So their shot quality is a lot better. Their chance quality is a lot better than at least 0.3 better than ours. Pressing intensity, so passes per defensive action, we're a lot more intense than Palace. We're at 11.4, so we win the ball back within 11 passes with opposition passes, whereas Palace are a little bit more passive. They win it after 14 passes, and I think a lot of that is down to fatigue, in my opinion. I'll be interested to see, I don't know if Wesley knows or anybody else knows, what was Palace's last year, for instance. But 14 is for sure. But I know that Palace love to do a mid-block, so that could be part of the reason why, they let the teams play out from the back quite a bit. So that could be a reason for it as well. So just to summarize that, we're underperforming. We're both underperforming our offensive XG efficiency. Palace significantly so. But we both got good offensive structures. We both got good defensive structures, very similar in terms of our output. But Newcastle are not slightly, they're more than slightly, probably significantly more in their pressing, in our pressing intensity. Newcastle United are more patient and controlled, so we have the higher percentage of possession, 52% on average. We do enjoy a bit more in terms of build-up play. You guys seen it against Burnley in some of our highlights. Newcastle favor a more elaborate build-up, usually 3.67 per sequence, passes per sequence. It takes about 9.5 seconds. So we recorded about 47 build-ups compared to Palace's 27 build-ups. Palace are a little bit more, in fact, a lot more direct and explosive. Newcastle more crossing focus. We know that now. Jeez, we do a lot of crosses. Newcastle have completed 338 crosses, the highest visible compared to any other team, right? Palace, so we're very big on build-up play, control possession, and crosses. Palace are more direct and more explosive with the likes of Sarr, who's on AFCON at the moment, Mateta, and I forgot the other gentleman on the left. Is it Pino? That's or Devaney. I think it was Devaney that was playing this time. I think Devaney and Pino played today as well. So a lot more direct and a lot more explosive. Palace play with a much higher verticality, recorded a direct speed of 2.15 versus Newcastle's 1.19. So they're a lot more direct than Newcastle. They favor quick transitions, averaging only 3.3 passes per sequence, and the shorter sequence time, 7.7 seconds. They're like nearly 3 seconds quicker than us in terms of trying to get the ball up the field. They have a lower press. Palace operate with a more relaxed defensive shape, I'll say mid-block, evidenced by their 14-point PBTA as well. So whereas Newcastle, so in summary, Newcastle more patient and control in our playing style, and Palace are more direct and explosive. Read this as well before we get to the chat. Strengths and weaknesses. Newcastle United, we have our strength is our defensive pressures. We're very active in winning the ball back. We're recording 234 pressed sequences and 134 high turnovers. So it's pretty high. Creative volume, we create high volume of shots, 242, and have a high success rate in getting shots on target as well. They're just low quality shots, and that's the part that our front line has to improve, which they have improved against Burnley. They say you're only as good as your last game, so I'll take that. I'll take that confidence into this game. Weaknesses are defensive finishing, and that's been throughout the game, throughout the season so far. So despite limiting opponents to low quality chances, 0.10 per shot against us, right? We have also conceded 2.85 goals more than expected. So teams have been getting very, very lucky against us. The good thing maybe is Palace, despite being creating so many high quality chances, aren't so lucky in front of goal for whatever reason. Palace's strengths, though, speaking of Palace, their strengths, their chance creation quality, really, really high, right? Higher than ours. While they shoot less often, they create the highest quality chances in the data set. So 0.14 per shot. They've also have really good defensive resilience. Their goalkeeper and defense are performing well, conceding 2.18 goals fewer than the quality of chances faced would suggest. So really good. Weaknesses, clinical finishing. This is their primary flaw. They have the largest goals versus XG deficit in the table. That's in the Premier League, essentially, 0.55. So goals compared to expected goals, they have the largest deficit. So just in poor finishing or bad luck in front of goal. I'll be really keen to hear if Wesley's still on here, but when I get to the chat, which one is it? Is it poor finishing or is it just bad luck? So both teams, in my view, if you look at the metrics, are really, really close to each other. And it's very interesting that it wasn't until today's game, obviously, we were on the same points, for instance. Palace are really, really good at creating chances, not the best at finishing them, whereas we're kind of performing according to the chances that we're creating. Both of our defenses are very, very solid, and teams, if anything, have been quite fortunate against Newcastle, and Palace have been a little bit fortunate not to have conceded more. But even with a goal, should they have conceded those goals, they'd still have a very, very strong defensive structure. So both teams have a strong defensive structure. Both teams have good offensive structures as well. There's a lot in Newcastle, a bit more controlled and patient in terms of our build-up and in terms of our possession. Palace are more direct and more explosive in terms of their playing style as well. So let's see what you folks are saying before we get to a tactical breakdown for the game. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Wesley says Mateta has been carrying an injury since playing for France 2 months ago and is knackered. Yeah, I felt that watching him. Our midfield can't score either. I think Hughes came off injured today as well. Hughes, Wharton, Lerma, and Kamada are not contributing goals. That's tough. And that's tough. That's tough. And I think our midfield is literally like at the moment, Bruno's got like 6 goals, 2 assists, maybe even more actually. You guys, I'll have a look in a moment. Joe Linton scored as well last game. Wissa scored, so it's an interesting game to come into at the moment. You might be coming to us at the wrong time for yourselves. Wesley says Mitchell, our left back, is outscoring everything apart from apart from Mateta. He had a good game today as well. Saar, who is on Afghan, and Muniz, who has been out injured last month. So you've got key players out. You have got key players out. Thank you for that insight, Wesley. That's super, super helpful. Bobby says Mateta got his first goal in a long time today. He's been letting Glasner down massively. I think the insight from Wesley on him being injured and carrying injuries might be something to do with that. Wesley says we are bottom of the league for XG to goals, more relegated than Wolves. You're bottom of the league for XG to goals. Do you mean the disparity? Because your XG is very high. Your XG is nearly up to 30. Do you mean the disparity? I think he must mean the disparity. Pino Devaney played. Yeah, that's the ones that played. Yeah. I'm not a fan of Pino. I like Devaney a little bit more, but Pino is a bit comes across as is not physically big or strong. Poor finish. Okay, yeah. So whether this is it? So when I asked the question, is it bad luck or is it poor finishing? Wesley says it's poor finishing, 100%. We bossed City, hit the post twice, had 17 shots to their 3 and lost 3-0. Oh, that is painful. Oh, geez. Boy, have we had conversations on here for Newcastle on that. That is painful. Oh, man, that is painful. Fair play. So if you just look at the results, you think, they've been getting bossed. 6 shots they had. Sorry. Oh, they had 6 shots. Okay. I was going to say that 3 shots and scored 3, but still, that is painful. That is painful. Okay, so let's look at the thanks for that, guys. Keep sending in your chats. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And you guys have been leaving a lot more comments as well for the channel, which has been good. We're slowly getting towards 1,000, by the way. I think we're like 32, 33 away. So if you haven't already if you haven't already if you haven't already subbed and you like the show, the main thing is you like the show, please do sub. It'll be great to have you guys join the channel. All right, so let me stop the screen. Let's do a tactical breakdown for the game, keeping the 2-3-2-3-2 in mind for this game. Let's see how things work out. Be keen to see what our Palace friends think about what are their strengths and weaknesses going into this game. I'll be really, really keen to get you guys' views. All right, so I've got some pre-prepared stuff. Let me know about you guys. What you think of the starting lineup? I've got Wesley. I've got Hughes on here, but he came off injured, holding his hamstring. Let me know if you think he still plays, or if you've heard anything more about his injury, or if he doesn't play, who would you change him for? But I've got Palace in the 3-4-3 formation. I think for us, we keep our lineup as it is. That's Wissa, Gordon, and Barnes up front. Joe Linton, Tanani, Gomeres in our midfield. Hall, Shaw, Chow, Miley making our defense, and Pope in goal. Now, I'm breaking this game in various ways. Again, applying the 2-3-2-3-2 stuff, formation, into this game. Thinking about how we're gonna approach this game. So, from an offensive point of view, when Newcastle are attacking, let me make sure you guys can see this. All right, excelente. You're gonna have obviously our 2 at the back here. My main thing from the outset is if the ball, before we kind of get into the attacking bit, but like the transitions, we already know that Palace are direct and explosive, super direct compared to us. And the main thing they're going to be trying to do is get the ball up to Mateta as quickly as possible. Now, in my opinion, I don't know what Wesley and if any other Palace fans are here would think about this is the one good thing, if I can say so myself, I don't think Devaney and Pino are necessarily, Devaney a little bit more so, but I don't think Pino, they're more athletic one. So I fancy Miley up against Pino in if the ball gets knocked to him type of situation, and Chow's going to be waiting there. They're going to crush him. The big, obviously, the big one is going to be Mateta. The ball getting through Mateta, we're going to be paying a lot of attention to him. Chow's going to be paying a lot of attention to him, and Tonali as well. Trying to keep him out of the game. If we keep Mateta quiet, especially up to the 70, 75 minutes, he's going to be substituted off as well. They've said, as he said, he's carrying an injury. And I think that further blunts Palace's attack, in my opinion. And I fancy, even in these transition opportunities, I really like Devaney still, but I still think that in these situations, if the ball breaks to him, Wharton gets it off to him, I still fancy Hall in the 1-1 situations. Shaw will be okay in holding them off. We still want a strong centre back, but I think that's if it's the case that Palace's counter attack or kind of their direct and explosive style, it's a little bit blunted with Pino and Devaney, in my opinion, and a Mateta who's carrying an injury. What's going to be interesting though is Newcastle and how we approach this game. I think it's going to be key. A couple things is Bruno and Joe Linton in these advanced 8 positions. Obviously, we're going to see Tonali, Miley here in the back 3, but we're really keen to know, how does Devaney do in tracking back? Is he going to be quick? Is he going to be alert to ensuring that neither that Lerma, for instance, isn't caught in his one? Well, Klein is there as well, but we're going to speak about Klein in a moment. But essentially, his job is going to be that Lerma isn't by himself with Gordon, because that wouldn't be a good thing for Lerma. I know that Lerma isn't no slow coach, but Gordon's got an assist in the Burnley game. I don't think he got anything in the previous game, but he's been getting goals and assists slowly but surely, and he's getting in the mood of things, whether he's driving in or he's cutting across, he's doing all of that. So you don't want that. The other thing is, and what I've seen from people criticizing Wharton for, apart from him being a master at passing and doing all these other things, is how is he in the defensive side of things? Is he going to be good at watching the space in behind him? Because that's what we're going to try and exploit. Whistle's going to be trying to create space. So it's going to be a choice for Klein, right? So when we're attacking these zones here, let me get this here. Hall, Gordon, Wissa, all right? So this is going to be very, very key. Wissa will try, one of the big things is Wissa is going to be trying to occupy the centre-backs in these situations. So I imagine Lacroix, Gahey will be here to try and ensure that they're occupied. And that's where Joe Linton will be trying to get across Klein, right? And in doing so, Lerma then is in a 1v1 situation with Gordon, for instance. Devaney will have to also either fall back and support with Gordon, but then that will mean that there's one less person to kind of hit on the break. If he doesn't drop back, it will be Wharton. How alert is Wharton going to be to Joe Linton coming in from the back here is going to be key as well. Otherwise, Gordon is going to be in situations where he'll either cut in, and similar to how the goal they scored here, Gordon got here, he cut in, he cut cross, and he did an outbound ball here where Joe Linton was across here, Whistle was across here, I think Bruno was at the back here, but Joe Linton did a good job getting across his man and then doing a really fine finish across here. That worked really well for Newcastle. So you're not going to want Lerma in a 1v1 situation with Gordon here on this side. It's going to be a big part of how Newcastle are going to try and play. So that's going to be really, really key for them. But obviously, like I mentioned, if the ball does break, you've got the likes of Mateta. I think that the main guy I'm worried about is Mateta in terms of driving with the ball. So that's going to be very, very key. And Tonali is going to be here marshalling, Chow and Miley and others will be here marshalling. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Similarly, but not so similarly, I think if you're Palace, you're not going to mind Barnes in these type of situations versus Gahey. I think Gahey wins that. Barnes is going to hate being up here. But what Barnes was going to want to do, though, is get himself here. Let me take this off. Is getting himself in these positions and to drop in. And Miley is going to be either key in terms of building up, in terms of either doing underlapping runs, or even if he's joining in here, Barnes will have to be here. Barnes won't want to be here, but he might have to be here as well. But Miley would be keen kind of providing his underlapping runs, if anything, or delivering balls from this half space here, which haven't always been successful. I don't know how successful we'll be in trying to get into this space in behind Palace here, past Gahey and Mitchell. I think Gahey and Mitchell would be quite difficult to break down in these type of situations. Also, in terms of, like I mentioned, in terms of our wingers going on the outside, I mentioned here, like I said, Gordon 1v1, Barnes 1v1 would be. I think the main thing is how can they keep Gordon quiet for them. Joe Linton's already got a goal. Wiss has got a goal. They're going to want to add more as well. So it's going to be interesting how that works out from that angle. Yeah, talking about our attack, as I said, trying to overload the defensive lines. How aware is Wharton about what's happening behind him? Some of the trust the football guys I listen to is Wharton excellent in the passing, but is he going to be watching for the runs in behind from Wissa, Joe Linton? You saw him in the clips as well, really joining in these joining in the back line here. Is he going to be doing that haul as well? He's going to try and grab opportunities where he can, where the space is created. So if Wharton follows Joe Linton, for instance, Klein goes over here to mark Gordon. You're going to find Hall trying to get into these half spaces here. That's going to be really, really crucial. So is Devaney going to have the wherewithal to follow Hall into these spaces? Because if he doesn't, it's going to be very, very dangerous in these type of situations. And even if he does, and the ball breaks, again, how many players? You're going to have Mateta here, maybe. It's going to be very, very difficult. Just Mateta by himself. Not saying that he can't. They're going to try and get as they're going to hope for this situation for Mateta versus Shaw. They're going to hope for this situation to happen. So that's going to be key for Newcastle to be able to guard against. Yeah, talked about the Newcastle attack. Midfield compactness. Now, before I get to that, is any more in the chat? Let me see what you guys are thinking so far as we're breaking it down. And as we're breaking it down, guys, send in your likes. Not send in your likes. Send in your predictions. Wesley says Hughes might play. Not sure if it is a hamstring. He was holding his abductor. Okay, as well. Lerma could go into midfield when he played centre back today. Okay. Thank you for that, Wesley. Some makeshift stuff there. Aaron says I would not be playing Barnes on right wing. Yeah, it feels like a Murphy type of job, open to accommodate Gordon. But Barnes had a good game against Burnley. To be fair, Murphy plays or Elanga if he's fit. Elanga will be good for this game, and Gordon probably plays on the left. But I'd be playing Barnes instead, to be honest. So you went back to Barnes. Wesley says Pino is lightweight. There is a great player in there, but he's not up to speed in the Prem and makes the wrong decisions too much. Okay. I thought. Thanks for confirming that. I thought what I was seeing with my eyes. I had a very similar take on it. I do like Pino. He's a good dribbler. You'll see him come in inside and try it with the likes. Yeah, he would. He's just getting up to speed, really. The front three were Sarr, Eze, and Mateta. They were that. I was dating without the two out of the three. Mateta's like 50%. Yeah. So yeah. The other 50% is gone for you guys. Wesley says he might go to a four at the back. Munoz is the key for us. We are very poor side without him. Oh, that would change you. Okay. Based on Wesley's inputs, I'm going for a 3-0. Wesley's blaming you for his prediction. Guys, send in your predictions. Thank you, Agent, for sending in your predictions. Right. So a compact midfield is going to be key. It's going to be key for how Newcastle play. You're going to see the situations where the ball breaks and say it hits the Devaney here, as we mentioned earlier, you're going to have Hall here, you're going to have Tonali, you're going to have Joe Linton. So it's going to be really interesting to see how good Devaney is to getting the ball out to Wharton, who knows good over the ball. They are going to be trying to get these. The key for them is going to be trying to get into these spaces at the back. Can Palace, when they're breaking out, getting into these spaces at the back, and we have to be really, really quick, very, very sharp in stopping these type of situations. As you can see, Devaney getting the ball, breaking out to Wharton, who'd be trying to get it off to Mateta. I don't mind if he gets it off to Pino, to be honest. Not mind, but I prefer the ball going to Pino rather than Mateta in a 1v1 versus Shaw, for instance. Right? And, Gordon is going to be bumping forward as well. And Hall and Joe Linton are going to have to be careful about trying to protect Shaw as much as possible. Tonali is always going to be quite big and kind of trying to cover these type of spaces, as well as blocking these direct passing channels into Mateta where they can. And Chow's going to be kind of marshalling. It's going to be a big job. Chow and Mateta is going to be a big, big jewel here. And like I said, if we can marshal Mateta for the next 70, 75 minutes, kind of like what Wesley was saying, I think we go a long way to blunting Palace's attack. Other areas, obviously Hughes as well. Hughes and Bruno is going to be a big, big matchup here in the middle of the park with Miley and Pino on the other side, and Barnes as well. And I do fancy Bruno against Hughes, though I think Hughes is a really clever operator. It's going to be interesting. The other one is Joe Linton. I think Joe Linton is going to be really, really big on Wharton and trying to shut down Wharton. That's going to be a key battle to watch as well. Can we shut down Wharton? If we can, then I think a big part of the creative part is going to be off. Wiss is going to be keeping Lacroix busy. I wonder if we can catch them on a turnover. That'll be interesting as well. And this is on the left side, midfield compactness. We've gone from on the right side, excuse me. On the right side, I'm a bit more confident if we're on the right side of the midfield. The Mateta is going to be, if you're Mateta, you're going to want to try and be next to Shaw, but not when it hits the left. You have to go against Chow. Now, I'm sure Mateta fancies himself against anyone, but if I'm a Newcastle opposition, I prefer him against Chow, and I prefer Mino Hughes and Mitchell even against Miley, Tonali, and Gomery. So it's going to be really, really key how these type of battles work out as well. But if Chow's on the left, I think if you're a Palace, you're going to try and work to the left and try and isolate Mateta or Chow as much as possible. And you're probably going to try and get the space, use the space between Klein. I think Mitchell's really good at getting space as well. Try and get involved Mitchell and Klein as much as possible to work these spaces here. So it's going to be really interesting to see how, again, I fancy Chow in these situations, Shaw a little bit less so. So it's going to be interesting to see how that builds up. Newcastle from the build-up, I wonder if Wesley's... Are Palace like a high pressing side? I don't think you are. I think you're... In fact, the metrics say you're not. Right? You don't mind teams kind of building out as well. So before I get to that, though, just answer the questions. Aaron says, excuse me, is a J7... It has just come back from an injury. Do you play him again after he's basically played 90 minutes? I'm not sure, so, to be honest. That's true. I think J7 can play 2 games and then he's rested for the third. That's been typically what they've done. he would have a 4 or 5 days break between now. I think he'll play him, but I think he rests him for the third game. But I think it's one we've got to be open to. It could be Ramsey. It could be Ramsey that starts. So then you have a kind of a different kind of battle. Genius has gone for a 1-1. I think we will struggle to break down Palace mid block and low block. Okay. So we've got 3-0 from Adrian and 1-1 from Giniesta. Send in your scores, guys. Let me know. Aaron says Walton is one of the best one-touch footballers I think I've ever seen. His one-touch passing is elite. I fear him playing the pass and on the press, and Palace are through against our backline. That's going to be key. How we shut down Walton is going to be absolutely key. I absolutely agree with what Aaron is saying. I think us from playing out the back, we haven't got Ramsey, which would have been nice, but I don't think we'll need Ramsey because Palace don't really press. They do, like I did see them do this once or twice against, who did they play? Fulham, but it wasn't often. It wasn't intense. Like the metrics do bear it out. They don't mind you kind of coming out like this. They literally will. They don't mind. I did the wrong thing here. They don't mind. What's the word I'm looking for? Dropping back. So they don't mind dropping back like this and letting us play out as well. And then they kind of pick when they want to be intense and how they want to come out. It does bring us a bit closer to their goal, though. And I think what you might find is, especially if depends how we want to play. If we want to go on the left side here, and again, remember, Shaw's right-footed. He can use his left, but it's going to be really interesting to see how we, especially if we're down our left side here, how Hall and Gordon and Joe Linton connect. That's going to be that's going to be a big kind of factor in this game. So let me just take this off. All right. So Gordon was really, really doing well connecting with Hall. I think once Hall gets the ball here and you've dropped back, you're going to see maybe Joe Linton making these runs, Wissa making these runs, and trying to force your back line. Let me take this off so I can show you. Where is it? Here we go. Creating this space here in between your back line. So forcing your centre backs a little bit back like this with runs and creating the space in the back, which could allow Gordon to get in, or Gordon will be on the left side here as well. So trying to force your guys back. Maybe Tonali fills a space, or Bruno fills a space, or Tonali at the back here as well. And then you've got situations where your players have to drop back again. Can we move the ball quickly? Is going to be very, very key, very, very key for how we kind of how we move through the mid block as well. Can we move the midfield quickly and against Palace as well? That's going to be very, very crucial in kind of trying to break through the mid blocks as well. 1v1s as well. Again, kind of going back to the build-up, 1v1s, the matchups. Is it going to be Tonali in the middle here, Mateta? If you're Palace, I think if you're Palace and you want to shut down the press, I think you want to shut down the left side because you probably fancy Gahey in a 1v1 versus Barnes. But the key is going to be if we choose to play through the center, if we can get it through the center. So can the likes of Joe Linton, for instance, with movement, cause spaces in the middle here? And if he does so, then you're going to have the runs of Wissa on the left side, Bruno on the right side, forcing your centre backs back, with Tonali driving with the ball, for instance. And you're going to get these type of situations as well, breaking through the middle. So it's going to be interesting to see who you got to kind of close down a Tonali or a Bruno who can drop in as well. Tonali then takes up these type of positions as well. Who you're going to get close to closing down will be key. Will be interesting to see as well. But I see Palace probably dropping back a lot more, in my opinion. Guys, do send in your what do you call it? Do send in your score predictions. I'm going to give mine in a moment. Chaldo, really good ball carrier, and I wonder if, for instance, in these situations when Newcastle get impressed, Pino not being the most athletic, if you got Chow, seeing how Palace react if Chow drives and Pinos has to chase him down. You have maybe Barnes creating the space here with Mitchell trying to close him down, and Miley then taking up his inverted position, the ball going out to Miley, where you can see Wissa making these runs down the left, Bruno through the center, Joe Linton through the left here. So kind of going through Miley, he's got really, really good passing, incisive passing as well. I can kind of see that kind of playing out. So that's going to be interesting. I think if that is one way we can crack Palace's defense, is from that right side, is involving Miley and getting him on the ball in these type of areas here, in this half spaces here, where you can see, then you'll see Whistle, like I said, running in the back. I think Gahey's going to have to be kind of really alert to him, and Barnes. But then if he's alert to both Gahey and Mitchell, are going to have to be really, really alert to these type of runs from Wissam and the rest. So that's going to be really keen to see. But I think that left side is going to be the most potent side for us if we're going to get goals in this game, in my opinion. All right, so guys, that's a tactical breakdown. A lot of ins and outs in there. I'm going to give my score predictions in a moment, and then I want to see, but I'm going to read the chats first, and we're going to finish the show with a scouting profile, a scouting report for a player. Let me know what you guys think of him. Aaron says, my team against Palace is Pope, Miley, Chow, Shah, Hall, Bruno, Tonali, Ramsey. Yep. And Barnes, Wissa, and Murphy. And Murphy does make a difference. I think Murphy's going to be, he has a different, I think my only hesitation with Murphy is his ball, apart from his crossing, everything has been average for me. For Murphy, his ball carrying hasn't been great, in my opinion. He does lose the ball in these situations, and there is this scenario where this moment happens when, if Wissa makes a run, out of all the players that you have on the team, who's the person you want to make kind of these overarching passes? It's Murphy, isn't it? I do think that Barnes is getting himself in the right positions to get goals. And he had a decent game, but yeah, it's certainly plausible that he plays. Wesley says, oh no, Wesley talking to Adrian. I'm shopping and changing. The more I think about it, I see Willock starting against his potential new team. It's possible for sure. Benny, boy, God bless you, sir. Palace are on a bit of a slump, but still have some fantastic players that we need to be very careful of. I think the home crowd will drag us over the line, though nervy 2-1 win. I like that. Guys, continue to send in your predictions. Oh, yeah. Wesley, would you want Willock? Ask Adrian. Aaron says, I don't like Murphy, but he gives us balance down the right side. Yeah, absolutely. Janiesta says, very generous on Murphy there. I think his general game is really poor. Yeah, I've been a very general. It's just that one scenario in terms of the crossing part is really it, to be honest. I'll be really, really honest. So I think that's why Barnes keeps his place, in my opinion. All right, so let me give my predictions before we go to the scouting report. And please do continue to send in yours as well. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think our squad though is a bit more fresher compared to Palace's. The likes of Wesley, not Wesley. I've got Wesley on my brain. I've got Wissa, Barnes, a lot more fresher. Joe Linton, we can change our squad. I think especially in the latter stages of the game, which is dangerous for both teams, to be honest. Um, but Newcastle, we have more coming off the bench if we need to compared to Palace. It's going to be interesting to see how we approach this game. Defensively, Palace are really good, so are we. It's going to be a tight game. I can't see us not conceding though at the moment, which is annoying, which has been really, really difficult. But if we can keep Mateta quiet and Wharton to a certain degree, that almost kills the game for Palace. But to do that for 90 minutes, it's possible. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to say 2-0 Newcastle. 2-0 Newcastle. 2-0 Newcastle. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are. What's your predictions? Everyone's trying to sell Joe Willock to Wesley for some reason. Everyone's like, forget the predictions. Wesley, can you take Willock? Can you take Willock? Can you take Willock? And Willock's been playing well for us as well. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts, to be honest. All right, so that was the preview. I want to share with you guys another transfer link, and it's not Jayden Mateta, who we've talked about before. And I don't know if you saw the update on him. He's recently had knee surgery. Dayan's recently had knee surgery, and that's what's caused me to look at another left back link aside from Dayan, because I don't think we're gonna buy a player who's currently recovering from an injury. And thank you, Aaron. Aaron's gone for a 0-0. As well, Benny says we have to stop Wharton from dictating play and spraying passes around. Absolutely. The thing is, who does he spray the passes to? Unless it's Mateta and Devaney, maybe it's going to be difficult. So yeah, Jayden Mateta is, he's been talked about a lot that Newcastle could be make an offer for him soon. We brought him after he's got an elite school. He does, Aaron, but I think he's like currently recovering. He's just had his op. It's not that he's had his op like Tino did and has come back and is playing. Like he's not playing. Like he's literally just recovering now. Unless anybody can correct me if I'm wrong whilst I'm doing this, but literally he's recovering now. He's not playing for Toulouse. Like if he's just played a game, do let me know, guys. That might be wrong, but that's what I saw. So the player I'm looking at is another left back that Newcastle have been linked to, but not by our mainstream journalists, which is part of the reason why I'm thinking that this could be a goer. This could be something that could happen. And he's a player that plays in Turkey, though he's not, or Turkey as it's known, but he's not he's not Turkish. And he plays for Fenerbahce. And his name is Jayden Oosterwolde. And I've taken his stats and everything else from FB Ref, jumped it on the old AI, and helped to break down what he's about and what he does. And we'll look at some of his highlights as well. But he's absolutely massive. He's 6'4". He's described as a playmaking stopper or centre back. He's a modern centre back who functions as a dual threat. He's aggressive, as a high volume creative playmaker from deep. So he's really good at progressive playmaking. So Fenerbahce are really a pragmatic side. They play quite defensively. So let me just actually get on to kind of before I get into his stats, because kind of explain how Fenerbahce play would help. Actually, no, I won't do it. I'll start with him. But just to say that Fenerbahce are a pragmatic side. Think of Jose Mourinho with 3 at the back, and they're not overly adventurous. They are currently second, but they're not like a high position side either necessarily. And so you kind of understand what they use him for. So he for a centre back, he is quite involved in the playmaking, but more to do with his progressive carries rather than passes. It's a standard 6'4" with electric speed. He is a physical unit capable of defending large space. Actually, before I get to him, I went right into the metrics, but let me just give you his background. Sorry, guys, I went a bit too far there. I wanted to give his background first before I got there. He's 6'4". Let me get this on because his background's quite interesting as well. Apologies for that. I wanted to read his. This is from 2023. Now he did have an ACL injury as well, I think, in 2023, which he recovered from, and he started playing again last year, where he did really, really well, and into this year as well. So he's back on our radar essentially. Okay, so you guys can see this. So this is from Breaking the Lines. I think this report was taken. Was this report 2024? So I think he's just come back. He's just come back from his ACL. So plays for Fenerbahce. His nationality is from Netherlands. Positions left back, LCB, and left mid. Preferred foot left-footed, which we need. 6'4" is massive. At the time, he was 23 years old. He's 24 now. His strengths are speed, athleticism, strength, dribbling, ball carrying, crossing, anticipation, areas of development, decision making. And there was another report that said positioning was an area of development. So decision making and positioning are quite key for him, and you do see that in his metrics as well. But this can be taught. But you're going to see him, for instance, out of position in certain areas that you have to be kind of look out for. But he tries to make up for his positioning with his speed. He was born in Zwolle in the Netherlands to Surinamese and Indonesian parents. Oosterwolde began his development at local club ZAC before spending a decade at 20. Let me get my drink of water. At 20 in 2022. In 2022, he left the Netherlands and joined Parma, impressing in the Serie B and leaving Italy after just 1 year, with Fenerbahce signing him for $6 million. So he's gone from Holland to Italy to Turkey. He hasn't looked back since scoring a debut goal against his club. So he's a stellar athlete with good technical base. Oosterwolde's electric speed and aerial presence make him a multifaceted threat in defense. His recovery pace allows him to excel in high lines and defend large spaces. At 6'4", he's a physical unit. He can cover ground quickly and hold his own in aerial duels, which really helps if we're playing the way we're playing. So if you can imagine him, he'll either can rotate with Hall or rotate with Shaw, for instance. So you can imagine Oosterwolde being in that 2-3, at the base of that 2-3 with Chow, for instance, with their physicality. So not only is he quick, but he has good anticipation and can read when passes in behind are coming, and which will be really good for us, and will position himself better to match the winger and either intercept the pass or make a tackle. Generally, his timing of slide tackles is impressive due to his top recovery pace. Oosterwolde has a broad physique with a good core strength, giving him very good dual winning capability, and he uses his strength effectively when carrying the ball to brush off any challenges. He's really good at that. Let me know if any of you guys have seen him play. He's an effective, powerful ball carrier who strides forward with conviction, with speed, and is a good dribbler with quick feet for someone so tall. So as a left wing back or left mid, he would bomb forward, overlapping the left wing, which is a big part of what we need to create crossing opportunities where he would show accurate crossing ability, which is again really important for us. He defends wide areas well and is capable of progressing the ball, whether at the back or centre back. When he receives the ball, he's often looking to play long, over the top, carry the ball forward, or break the lines with passing. The Fenerbahce's defender is still raw. This is in 2023, of course, and it might still be the case now. And this is the big part. He needs coaching defensively in terms of positioning and to refine his skills. Right. So, so that's where Eddie Howe comes in. By his technical and physical foundations is a solid basis and build all round. He needs a good defensive coach, Eddie Howe, and a team who build up from the CBs, Newcastle United. One aspect in particular where he needs to work with is his decision making. Sometimes he goes to ground too easily when he could just stay on his feet and avoid the risk of a dangerous tackle, which would result in a red card, giving him a free kick or a penalty or an injury. So he's got to stay on his feet a little bit more. His passing success rate is okay, but not amazing. This isn't there. 2023. We're going to look at the updates on his statistics. In order for Fenerbahce to have a high possession rate, 58.8%, so a lot more possession than I thought, actually, their centre-backs aren't typically tasked with breaking the line. So this is the key part. Their centre-backs aren't typically tasked with breaking the lines. Instead, that pressure is bestowed upon the fullbacks and midfielders. If Oosterwolde played in a team who built the ball up from their centre-backs, Newcastle United, he could receive the ball comfortably and pass more frequently to the point where his passing accuracy would improve. It would also allow him to utilize his progressive tendencies more often. So that even though his passing stats are low, essentially, they could be better playing in the team. Similar to Tottenham's Mickey van de Ven. Okay, he boasts a combination of his physicality, speed, ball playing ability, and height that would allow him to thrive as a centre back in the back three, or a back four, or even as a left back. At 23, the sky is the limit for the Dutchman, and he has what it takes to thrive to become a genuine sensation in Turkey's top flight season. So this is in 2023. This is in 24, excuse me, when he just came back from his ACL injury. So let's get an update on his current stats as well. But before we do that, let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. If you guys have heard of him, do let me know. Ready to lose and get their goalkeeper. Let me know, Aaron. Did we talk about their goalkeeper? I feel like we talked about their goalkeeper before. Benny says, I'm fuming we didn't go in for Xhaka for squad depth in a Champions League season. Boy. Yes and no for me. Like his ability, yes, and his leadership, I just don't know. I don't think he's a great player, to be honest. It's hard to say no. I have a feeling that he just doesn't suit what we're trying to do at the moment. Apparently, Benny Boy says, apparently Ruben Neves deal won't happen because Ross Wilson doesn't want to sign anyone over 20. I don't think it's just Ross Wilson. I think that's Eddie Howe as well. Over 24. I've loved Neves at the 2 and 2. We could have signed him years ago. I think a lot of that was just, for me, I paid minimal attention to the Ruben Neves stuff, I think. Because he's the one that even started the whole. If you guys remember 2-3 years ago when Dan Ashraf mentioned the name Ruben Neves, and they started the Premier League started the whole vote on should teams be allowed to buy players from clubs that their owners associated to. Do you guys remember that? We did a whole show on that. Like, I don't think we were ever going to sign him. Aaron says definitely he has promising attributes in that LCB role, but from what I've seen, his position isn't great in the left back role. Position is very crucial for us, which is a worry. Yeah, and I think Eddie Howe has to believe that he can teach the boy. And if we do literally, and that's the part I forgot to mention actually. I'm going to show the articles on him because they're going as far as to saying, this is mainly Turkish articles, say that that Newcastle are ready to bid. Ginesta says, I think it's a bit odd that we are being linked to the left-sided CBs unless we are looking for possible Botman replacements. I think it's a bit of both. I think after looking at the 2-3-2-3 formation a lot more, it makes sense. So I can see him with his athleticism and his power playing next to Shaw, and then the likes of a slightly smaller player, but more technical player like a Hall in front of him. Like it makes sense for me. So yes, he can rotate with Botman, but he can also rotate with with Hall as well. It just makes sense for us that ability, because he's still got the physique of a LCB, but he's also got the technical base of an LB, in my opinion. The positioning and decision making needs to be improved up for sure. Agents, does anyone know? Oh, no, talking to agents. Sorry. Aaron, oh, you're talking to Aaron. Right. So, yeah, let me know if you guys heard of him. Sounds really promising from the scouting report. But this is a little bit more up to date this is onto this year, playing for Fenerbahce. But I wanted to talk about, there was something I forgot to mention was where is it? It was, did I have it on here actually? Because part of the reason why I mentioned him was all the stuff on the news. It was Turkish media outlets who were talking about him and what they said, because they were quite like, where is it? Let me see if I can find it quickly before we do. Where is it? There's this. Okay, so I'll show you this. I had to go on Google Translate because it was written in Turkish. But it was a paper that was the main. Let me show you. So I'll read it off to you guys because this is taken. So this is one article. This is from one Turkish newspaper that is, what do you say? What's the word? Quoting another Turkish newspaper. So according to a news report on Turkiye Gazetesi, dated 29th of December, and I have to say this, it's not just now. Like, it seems to be like Newcastle, especially from Turkish media outlets, have been linked to this guy definitely for last year, possibly more, maybe between 1 to 2 years. So it's not like a sudden thing, but it hasn't been in our mainstream media as much, which is interesting. It's been really in our amongst the Turkish outlets. Newcastle. So according to a news report in Turkiye Gazetesi, dated 29th of December, this is last year, 2025. Newcastle United and Roma are showing serious interest in signing Fenerbahce Dutch defender Jayden Oosterwolde. The newspaper shared the following key details. Expected transfer fee. Fenerbahce have set a minimum fee of 20 million euros, about 15 million pounds, for Oosterwolde. So the transfer race. In addition to Newcastle United, the Italian team Roma is closely monitoring the player situation. Player status. The 24-year-old footballer has caught the attention of European clubs with his success and speed in both central defender and left back positions. His market value, although the player's current market value is 60 million euros, it is stated that the Fenerbahce insisted on a higher fee figure due to his former club Parma rights to a 30% share of any sale profit. So that's why Fenerbahce want a little bit more. And given Newcastle United desire to strengthen the defense, it is expected that interest will turn into an official offer in January. So the Turkish media outlets, at least on their side, are expecting an offer from Newcastle. So interesting. Giniesta says this is the system Ange used at Spurs. Yes, not too far from it, except for he was rotating a lot more than I think Eddie Howe is doing. And it's more the route of Guardiola and Bielsa, I think. And VDV's pace bailed them out as it was able to cover wide zones. Udogie was inverting in that 2-3 shape. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Except for we're conceding way less than they are. Jayden says 20 million sounds like a snip. It does, doesn't it? Before Palace pounce. Absolutely. So, all right. So, Jayden. So, like I said before, 6'4" is massive, right? Standing at 6'4", electric speed. He's capable of defending large spaces, and as you pointed out, Iniesta, that's in the way that we're playing. You need a guy like this. A guy like this, and next to Malik Chow, would be absolutely brilliant. I need to take this off. I'll come back to it in a moment. He's got elite offensive creative outputs. As compared to other centre backs, is in the 99th percentile for assist specialists as an assist in terms of his assists for both assists and expected assists. His goal creation, he's in the 92nd percentile for his goal creation actions as well. Ball progression, he's an elite ball carrier at a 95th percentile. And into the final third, 92nd percentile. So he's technically very, very, very good. His defensive style is defined by his active engagement rather than passive reading of the game. So he's got high engagement. He ranks 97 percentile for tackles per 90 and 99 percentile for blocks. So he's and that's what we need. Someone who's I'm going to assume those blocks are going to be in around the penalty area as a defender, right? So that's what we need. Someone that's aggressive that's an aggressive penalty box defender. Recovery pace. His speed allows him to excel in high defensive lines, which is what we need. Aerial efficiency, this is interesting. While he contests a low volume of headers, he is highly efficient when he does. So ranking in a 99 percentile for fewest aerials lost, hence why he can play LCB. An 81st percentile for aerial win percentage of 66.7%. So I can't remember someone mentioned it. He does sound almost like a Botman replacement, or at least an upgrade or rotate, certainly like someone that could at least compete with Botman and with Hall as well. Notable weaknesses: discipline. His most significant flaw is his disciplinary record. He ranks in the bottom 1 percentile for yellow cards, averaging he's going to get a yellow card, 0.6 per 90. I wonder that that's because he's always having to kind of make up for mistakes he's made, possibly, like, you know, and getting back and not being in the right position. Passive defending, he has extremely low interception, 1 percentile, and clearance 8 percentile numbers, indicating he's a reactive defender. He prefers to tackle or block rather than cut out lanes. Now, is that to do with the team that he's playing, or is that him in general? That's what remains outstanding. We talked a bit about how he plays for Fenerbahce. Tedesco, who's their manager, favors a 3-man defense and prioritizes defensive security combined with aggressive pressing. So he's the left centre back in a 3-man defense. The hybrid role. Oosterwolde typically plays as a left-sided centre back in this back three. This allows him to function as a false back three member who stays deep to utilize his recovery speed, but also bombs forward to create crossing opportunities. So it's kind of like what Hall does, essentially, right? Marino has been compared to Tedesco. Summary. So Oosterwolde is a raw but high potential defender. He's best suited for teams who play over high line at Newcastle. Not as much as now, but that's where we're evolving to, and requires centre backs to be primary playmakers. Though his high foul rate and low interception volume remain areas of development, and that's what Eddie Howe is all about. So let me know what you guys think of him so far. I'm going to show some highlights of him before we conclude the show. We did start late, but big up to the certain guys that are watching at the moment. You're amazing. And all of you that were here from the beginning as well, big up to yourselves. And if you haven't already, please do like, share, and subscribe. But let me know what you think of Jayden so far. Certainly from the scouting reports and from the scouting reports and from the kind of recent data, he is certainly comes across as really. I was trying to look for the. He comes across as a really, really high potential. I know he's 24 years old, but he comes across as someone who knows what they're doing. Someone who I think would suit our team. But I'll be really keen to hear from folks that I've seen in play. So let me share my screen. This is from a year ago. So this is from 24. I couldn't find a recent one for some reason. Maybe there isn't recent ones available, to be honest. Let me double search again and let's see how can we get a recent one. 2023, 24 season. No. But that's all right. That's okay. Let's kick off. Let's kick off with this. Let me see if you guys can see. No, let me make sure that's not on slow speed. Big up to all of you guys that are here. It is on slow speed. To everyone that's still here. Yeah, got up to speed. Can you guys see that? Yes, you can. So that's why I think, because of his role as like the left center, the left of a three-man defensive line, that he can play both the Botman and the Lewis Hall role. And if you really have to, left mid, which makes him. So you can see it here already. Oh, that's Fenerbahce here. Okay, what is he scored already? What did I just miss here, guys? Let me start that again. Okay, so this is Fenerbahce against 20. So this is when he came back. I think this is when he came back from injury that he scored. So Fenerbahce, so that's him being aggressive. That's him with the crosses here, inbound with the left foot on the right side playing here. So whips it in right there. So you can see, like I said, he's that's why he's so high on the assists for a centre back compared to other centre backs. He's charged with that kind of, like I said, with that deep line playmaking role for Fenerbahce. The way their kit is in here, looks like they got two shirts. They've got a shirt underneath. That's him there taking the ball on as well. Him, and again, good first touch. Grabs it, gets past his man. Super. You can see that he's got that pace. He's got them feet as well. Recovery pace there, decent. Though that ball got out the back as well, so you have to be careful with that. There, you see, that's him running back. Well, he's strong. They're really good out wide, showing his defensive. He's literally just dragging the. Yeah, he's having. Yeah, this is this is where the yellow cards come from. This is where the yellow cards. This is where the yellow cards come from. But aggressive, he's strong. Again, super aggressive, super strong. He has to, if he can harness that, because you're going to have a bit more clever players in the Premier League, he'll become even more effective. Another lovely block there, got himself across. Again, you can super high jump there. He's always sliding in. He needs all these these are highlights. This guy, there isn't one. Is there any highlight where he just like tackles someone, intercepts? He's just running. Yeah, he's a madman. He's always crashing into someone. Again, great footwork through the legs there. Really aggressive in the press there. Picks up the ball, runs with it. He's like this is like probably Malik Chow before he came to Newcastle, maybe. But you can see there's a lot to work with there. Like his ability, again, really, really good in his ability to get past players, great distribution, really good physical pace, really strong, really aggressive going forward. I can see where he picks up the yellow cards. Here we go again. Here we go again. Here we go again. He's the way this guy, bro. He's yeah. So we're gonna have to. I can see why Eddie Howe loves this guy. Not only his physicality, his strength, his athleticism, his speed, his aggression is really, really good. I think Eddie Howe likes these guys that live life on the edge. At the moment, he's pushing the envelope for me. This is just the highlights, and I'm nervous. watching him. I'm watching him and I'm nervous. I'm like, geez, bro, this guy's aggressive. So, but again, picks up the ball in the left back 7, plays a 1-2 there, decent, picks up again, carries it for the second phase. Managers love players like that. That move there, let me just back that up. He hasn't even finished it, but that move there is what managers really love to see, right? So he's picking it up. He picks up here. He's about to be approached. Lays it off, runs into the space, carries it into the second phase, about to carry into the second phase, runs into the space because he's got the P speed, power, again runs to the space, and now is into the final third, just like that because of his pace. Great last minute tackle there. So guys, let me know what you think of him. I see a lot of, I can't keep on saying potential for him because he's 24 years old. he is what he is. He's aggressive. He's tall. He's massive. He plays in the back. Is a left. He plays in left sided defender in the back three. You can see how he can play LCB and LB for Newcastle. In that 2-3-2-3, he could be next to Chow, or he can rotate with Hall, have Botman in behind him. Like, I would prefer Botman and him if he had to be. If you can keep him cool, he'll be on Joe Linton's side. That's going to be insane. The testosterone on that side of the pitch is going to be mad. But you can see the potential there. Like, let me know what you guys think. Again, it's all the Turkish media outlets that are talking about him at the moment. So, for me, that's almost a good thing. Let me know what you guys think. Big up to you, Wesley. We'll leave you lads. Drop the message about preview for if he's needing one, mate. Best of luck. Thank you for that, Wesley. God bless you. Great to have you on the show as well. You've been absolutely amazing, sir. All right. So, Giniesta says, we do certainly need a centre-back profile with that electric pace, but unsure if it makes sense to have him plus Botman and Burn. It does. I think it definitely does, because we don't have a left back. So we don't have a left back to challenge Hall. He challenges Hall and he challenges Botman. And the idea is, and I think Shaw's going to leave as well. And I think it's time to phase out Burn. Essentially, it's time to phase out Burn. And I think the main rotation at this stage of the season, the main rotation would be Jayden and Hall. And probably towards the next stage of the season, it will be Jayden and Botman and Hall, like really. And Burn will so be, yeah, and then a little bit more of Botman. But I think Burn will stay on a little bit longer. But Burn isn't meant to be a first teamer for us. Like, Burn's going to go to the World Cup, and that's going to be his peak. I'll be amazed if he makes it to the Euros and he continues like peaking even further. But for sure, I think Jayden is, in terms of that, if you're talking about squad planning, I think, for me anyway, I think he makes a lot of sense. Would anyone take Murillo? I definitely would. But I just don't see Forest selling him at this time, for sure. I definitely would, though. But the price will take up our budget as well. Janessa says, Joel Dennis Club Bruges Ecuadorian CB will do well for us, in my opinion. Long-term Shah. I agree, but I saw news today that Liverpool are looking to wrap up a deal for him. Annoying, isn't it? Liverpool are looking to wrap up a deal for him, man. Iniesta, Liverpool are going to get Joel Dennis, man. That's just what's going to be. That is just what it's going to be. Aaron says, reminds me a lot of Timber from Arsenal. That's a good take. Obviously, Timber's a little bit shorter and stuff, but the aggression and everything else, it's going to be fun to watch him. You know what it's going to be like? He's going to be losing his head. And it's going to be funny watching Joe Linton, out of all people, because he's really going to be closest to him, trying to calm him down. And you can see the players even his own players trying to hold him back. And he's just that strong. Like, it's very difficult to hold him back. Jeez. I think Eddie Howe really likes those type of players. Eddie Howe likes to play with fire. I really believe that. I think Eddie Howe loves to play with fire. Junior says, seen few Ferner games this season. Good. Mexican Alvarez, West Ham, drops into the middle CB to allow Jayden and Skriniar to push wide. Makes sense. A bit like Tonali does for us, right? That explains why Jayden is able to be so aggressive on and off the ball. That makes a super lot of sense. Thanks for that, Iniesta. Similar to what Iniesta does when he drops in between our centre backs. Makes a lot of sense. Aaron says him and Joelinton would be better. Joelinton would be like the old master. Jeez Louise. I've never seen so many highlights where the guy is like screaming for a yellow card or a red card. Jeez Louise, bro. All right, guys. So we've reached the end of the show. We've had a lot of stuff we've talked about. There's a lot of news been talking about Newcastle. We did a match react. We did a we did a match reaction to the 3-1 Burnley game, but we intertwined that by talking about how Newcastle style is actually evolving, that it's a 2-3-2-3 style and principle, and how that has been integrated into our formation, that we're not just how Sky News has as a 4-3-3 and a flat 4-5-1, 5-4-1 formation that everyone's talking about, which, yes, is there. But there's an evolution in Newcastle's play that's been disrupted by personnel or lack of personnel that is becoming to form a lot more. We saw that in the highlights that I showed in the Burnley game of how Newcastle are trying to play. And that sort of marries up also with that marries up with the tactical breakdown we did for the preview for the Crystal Palace game, how we'd approach that game and where we're going with that. I think I predicted. What did I predict for that game, guys? Did I say 2-1 or 2-0? I think I predicted 2-0. I think that the clean sheet is out of hope, but I'm going for a 2-0 for Newcastle in that game. And we talked about to give a tactical breakdown of how that 2-3-2-3 formation could work in the Palace game. And then we gave a scouting review for Jayden, I think, Oosterwolde, who is a massive 6'4" left centre back / left back, left midfielder, plays for Fenerbahce, 24 years old, fiery, athletic, strong, aggressive dribbler, crosser, creator, playmaker, and can play in the back three, can play as a left back, can play as a left centre back. I personally think 19 likes. Big up to you guys. Keep on going. Keep on going. Amazing. Thank you for that, Janiesta. Please do like, share, and subscribe. I think his profile, again, from the limited things I've seen of him, I'm gonna have to watch Fenerbahce games now. I think he would suit us to the core, and I think he will add to what we really need in this current squad makeup. But guys, you've been absolutely amazing as always. This is our first show in 2026, and I feel like we hit it off in the right note. You've been absolutely amazing. Make sure you have a great
Rest of the night. Get yourself to sleep. Get yourself to work. Whatever you're doing, may God bless you, and we'll see you hopefully soon. How are the lads? God bless you, folks. Take care now.